Hi everyone, today we are going to be talking about 10 products that I seriously regret buying. Some of them I didn't mean to buy. We'll go into that in a second. And it's not all doom and gloom. It's not that I think all of these products are hideous. Some of them, they're just not my thing. Some of them, they don't suit my skin, but they may suit yours. But some of them, I just think are bad. I just don't think the formulas are quite there. So there's a mixture of products in this video, high-end, luxury, mid-range, and also affordable as well. So let's get straight on with it. If you are new here, hi, my name's Gemma. I upload new content on YouTube every single week. If there's noise in the background, it's my dog Ralph, who is absolutely adorable. I put this couch in the background on purpose for him to lay on. Has he ever laid on it? No, he hasn't. He's still laying on the floor where you can't see him. So I apologize for that. It's just a little bit warm in this room right now for him, so he's probably going to go and sit outside the door very shortly. But yeah, that's what the noise is. If you're hearing any tinkling of bells or anything, it's just him scratching and sniffing and doing what dogs do. So I would love it if at some point in this video you are finding it helpful. Please consider clicking on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Let's jump into the first product, which is the product I did not mean to buy. What I thought I was buying was the Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Watery Sun Gel, which is my ride or die pretty much all year round, unless I'm on holiday and I'm in and out of a pool because it's not waterproof. I actually bought the Isntree Hyaluronic Acid Natural Sun Cream, which looks identical if you don't read the label, which I obviously didn't. Not quite sure what was going on that day that I placed my order. Luckily, I only bought the one, which I don't normally do. Somebody was looking down on me that day and looking after my bank balance because I really don't like this. This just is everything about a sunscreen that I don't like. Now let's talk about the positives for a second. I did mention that I don't wear the Watery Sun Gel if I go away on holiday and I'm in or out of a pool because it's not waterproof. This one feels like a sturdier product. It really does stick to the skin. I'm not quite sure if this one is waterproof, but it feels like it's not going to budge on the skin, which is another reason why I actually don't like it, because it feels like your normal generic everyday sunscreens that you can buy from Boots or Superdrug that I tend not to apply to my face because they feel suffocating and thick. It's quite a nice consistency at first, but as soon as I apply it to my skin, it takes a while to absorb. It's not like one of those creams that feels like a moisturizer. It's a heavy cream, in my opinion. Now, instead of this being a chemical sunscreen, which is my preference, another thing I don't like about this is it's a mineral sunscreen, which will be a great benefit for those of you who only prefer mineral sunscreens over chemical sunscreens. I am not in that camp, so that's another reason why I don't really get on with this. Because it doesn't sink into the skin very well, I have to put this on in stages, so I can't put it all on at once like I can do with the Watery Sun Gel. It has to be in 3 lots and apply it like that. If I don't, this pills all over the place when I come to apply my makeup. It only has zinc oxide in here, and it's not even zinc oxide nano, so you are going to experience some white cast with this formula. It is 50 plus. It's got a PA rating of plus. It's great protection, but it's not for me. Next product is another disaster for me from Charlotte Tilbury. I have a love-hate relationship with some Charlotte Tilbury products. Some are my ride or dies, others are just a bit hit and miss for me. Sometimes they perform really well. Other times I'm like, what have I applied to my skin? Because it's definitely not this. These were just a disaster every single time I wore them. And for that reason, they're now stuck in a drawer collecting dust. I'd never want to put these on because I know after around about 20 minutes, I'm gonna look a mess, and it's not really the look that I go for if I'm going to apply makeup, which usually improves my initial look rather than brings it down. These are the Airbrush Blur lipsticks. Not only do I think the shade range in this needs work, because there are very few pinky tones in this. They're all slightly on the orangey tone, and a lot of them are really quite deep. There are very few lipstick shades that are light enough for my complexion without making me look vampy, which is a very sexy look, but it's not the look that I like to go for on a daily basis. I like something a little bit more neutral and natural, and these just don't provide me with that. They're all a little deep. But the main reason that I really don't like these, even though, and I have to say this, the formula is lovely, it feels nice on my lips, it doesn't feel drying, it feels quite hydrating and nourishing actually. It feels very creamy and soft, and it doesn't go overly dry. Unfortunately, it gives me that goopy line that separates the body of the lip from the inside of the lip. And it just congeals on the surface, and I really don't like that. And I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. I've tried applying this on a completely dry lip. I've tried applying this on a moisturized lip. I've tried prepping my lips massively. I've tried putting things over the top of it. Nothing matters. I actually mentioned something very similar with either these lipsticks or a different lipstick, and I had a comment saying that they've heard it only happens with people who have lip fillers. Really? I've got to disagree with that because I don't have that reaction to other lipsticks. It's these and a couple of others. Let me know if you have had this happen to you, and also put in your comment, have you had a little bit of filler in your lips or not? Moving on to an affordable flop for me. This one is seriously affordable, but really didn't like it. It was a major fail. Now, usually I love the products from this next brand. In fact, I think they are killing it with their new releases, one after the other, just superb. And it's for that reason that I bought these, not because I absolutely adored the color story. It's just I'm always after eyeshadow palettes that I can share with you and recommend that you go out and buy if you like a little bit more vibrant colour on the lid, which I'm usually quite a boring person when it comes to eyeshadows, but I know a lot of you aren't, so I do like to be able to give you recommendations if I think they're worthy, and these just weren't, which it's just a real shame. These are from e.l.f. and they are the limited edition Good Vibes Only palettes. So there's like a yellowy, orangey, browny toned one, and then there's a peacocky green, orangey. I'm not quite sure who came up with these color stories. So the peacock one is called Psychedelic Dreams, and the orangey brownie one is Hey Sunshine. I think there are a couple of other ones that came in this limited edition collection. And in fact, I'm not quite sure if these are actually still available to buy because I've had them for a while and I've been building up products for this video. So maybe you can't even buy these anymore. Lucky for you, because they're not that great. And for me, this is not a preference thing. Obviously, my preference is neutral, so I wouldn't have massively gone for these on a daily basis anyway. But the formulas, they're not there, and usually e.l.f. formulas for their eyeshadows are great. Now, it's lucky for me that these didn't cost a lot because I will never have these on my lid for the main reason that the mattes are very pigmented, more like pressed pigments, and because of that they really stick to the skin and are very difficult to blend out, especially this peacock blue shade here. This really grabs to the skin, so you get patches of really dark and you get patches of really light where it's blended out beautifully. I'm not quite sure why this does that to me. The main problem with these palettes, not that that wasn't enough. One, you can't get into them. They're really stiff. They're gemma proof when it comes to getting into them. The metallics, which they are difficult to formulate, but e.l.f. usually have this down. Their metallics are usually so good. Not quite sure what happened with these. They are so hard pressed. You can get them on your finger, but they are super hard. They feel cheap. They feel really cheap. And I know they are inexpensive. This is not Natasha Denona, but the MUA palette, which was something like £2.50, £3 for a quint, amazing quality. You would never have known that they were affordable shadows, and this, they feel cheap and they don't transfer to the lid very well. So you get very little pigment and they fade throughout the day, so they don't hold. I have tried these on bare skin. I have tried these with a primer. I've tried these with a concealer. Nothing really works. I've tried powdering everything in place before I start applying the shadow. So if I were you, I would save my money from these and go and get an MUA palette, which are absolutely out of this world. Phenomenal, fantastic, unbelievably good. Another palette that I seriously regret buying, and this is not because of the quality of the shadows. The quality of the shadows are superb. This is a preference thing. This is the Natasha Denona Retro palette. I think I bought this because I was going to review it for you all. I don't think I actually did that video. I don't know why I didn't do that video, but yeah, I don't think I did it. So it's a double waste for me because this is not my colour story. Usually when I wear pinks or purples or reds, I look like I've been crying for a really long time, or I look like one of those red-eyed bunnies. I'm a little disappointed that I bought this and then didn't do anything with it. It's a very pretty palette, but this is definitely not for me. Now, there are some consistencies with the My Dream palette from Natasha Denona. I prefer that palette, although I do think some of the shades are problematic for blending, especially the deep purpley reddy tones. I prefer to use those as liners instead of actual overall shadows. I have done a full-blown review of that palette. I'll link it up here for you, but I do prefer that one because I just think it's slightly more wearable, or rather a one-tonal palette. And there are lots in here, and a lot of them are very similar. So how many shades? 15 shades, and not enough difference for me to want to use it all the time. We are going all the way with the shadows in this video. These are an affordable shadow. They are from Revolution and they are the Mousse shadows. I was so excited when these landed in my local Superdrug. I went in and I thought, yes, this is another affordable product that I'm going to be able to recommend. I swatched them. I thought they were beautiful, but then the problems came. Where do I start? Okay, so there are a couple of different finishes with these mousse shadows. There is a glittery finish and there's also a metallic finish. So the metallic finishes are slightly more pigmented than the glitter finish. The glitter finish one that I have is in the shade Gold. Stunning, absolutely beautiful. If you want subtle glitter. If you're wanting anything other than subtle glitter, you're going to have to build this up. Now, built up, this does not dry down. This doesn't dry down if you add it in layers and let each layer try and dry down. This just doesn't work. And because my lids are very movable and a little crepey in areas, this creases all over the place on me. It also fades throughout the day as well, which is not what I want. even from an affordable shadow. I know from affordable shadows that they can be made to exactly the same quality, or at least similar to the high-end luxury shadows. And this is not hitting the mark for me, unless, like I said, I want something really subtle. If I just want a very subtle wash of sparkle, which is incredibly beautiful, this is lovely. But anything more than that, it doesn't dry down, it creases, it creates those lines on the eyelids. So not flattering for me. It's like a roadmap to crepey city, just horrendous. And yeah, not very pigmented on the glitter front. So let's talk about the metallic one. Now the metallic ones, there is a little bit more pigment, and I've got the shades Champagne and Rose Gold. They're the only, everything had sold out by the time I got there. So I got my hands on the ones that I could, and I've used them a couple of times. They are very, very beautiful in the tub. I was hoping that these would be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize little tubs. Unfortunately, I was seriously wrong. So these also take such a tremendously long time to dry down. You either have to close your eyes and go for a nap for half an hour, or these are going to crease all over the place. And there isn't enough of a nice finish to warrant just applying them very, very softly for me. So it was a real shame with these. I think if you are a lot younger and you have absolutely fantastically soft, no lines on your eyelids whatsoever, you may love these, because on the back of my hand, they looked beautiful. Unfortunately, when you transfer them to the lid, not so much in my case. So if you were thinking of trying these out, and you have any sort of wrinkles or fine lines or crepiness on your eyelids, I would say think twice, because you may be disappointed. Moving on to my next purchase regret, and I am gutted about this. I love Dior. I get on with a lot of Dior products, including their lipsticks, and I'm just seriously disappointed by these. I went into it thinking that these were going to be gorgeous, I was going to love them, and I was a little deflated come the end of the day. So these are the Rouge Dior Forever Liquid Lips, and there's so much about these that I don't like. So let's start with the things that I do. So these are supposed to be transfer proof. I did find them transfer proof, but also with that came a lot of pigmentation issues. So taking these off was a problem. I also didn't find these overly drying, which is a major positive with any liquid lip that's supposed to be transfer proof. So again, great there. I didn't find that these created that horrible gunky line on my lips. Once again, positive. So there are a lot of positives with this. And I think if you've got a deeper skin tone than mine, you're going to find the shade range absolutely stunning. For me, there aren't enough shades that are light enough. I've also passed these on to my mum to try. She does have a slightly deeper skin tone than me, but only slightly, naturally anyway, when I'm not all bronzed up. So yeah, she didn't like them either, which is a shame. So I have the two lightest shades. So I've got the shade 100. They're so small, these. I think it's just 100. I don't think it's actually a shade name. And I've also got 200 as well. Now 200 is actually more of a browny orangey undertone, whereas 100 is more of a pinky nude undertone. I thought my mum would actually really get on with 100, so that's the one that I passed on to her, but it was a definite no-go. Both of them were too dark for us both. It just depended on what day of the week it was, whether I liked them or whether I didn't, and I don't like finicky, temperamental products. So let's talk about the applicator, because for me, you have to take as much product off the applicator as possible. And how the applicator is shaped, because it's dipped, that's really difficult unless you wipe it on a tissue and waste loads of product. This is pricey. I don't want to do that. Even though it's got a really nice tip and you could be quite precise with the line and get it really quite crisp, because you can't take off a lot of the product, I found that quite difficult because the product tends to bleed out of the applicator and go all over the place. So I did find that quite challenging, but also if you can't get enough off the applicator, if you apply too much to the lips, it doesn't dry down as well. So the trick to this is that you have to shake it before you apply it. And I did that every single time. Just to make sure that I was doing it right, especially after the first time of trying it and really not liking it. I thought I'm gonna shake it up for about 5 minutes before I apply it for the second time. So I applied it the way that you should. You then have to not close your lips for around about 30 seconds just to let it dry down. And then you can go about your day and it's completely transfer proof and it won't budge. So the problem with that is because it's very difficult not to apply too much, it's then a little bit too deep in colour because you've got too much on, and then it goes a bit sticky. And it goes stickier throughout the day. It doesn't dry down 100%. It feels okay, but then you get this sort of stickiness on the lips where your lips start to stick together if you're not moving. Now, I actually watched Charlotte Holcroft's video on this after I tried these for the first time because I thought, is this just me? Is this the only, am I the only person that this is happening to? Is it something to do with my lips? Am I just an absolute phenomenon? Just, they don't like me. And actually the same thing happened to her. And I've not spoken to her about this actually. Maybe I ought to get in touch with her and ask her how she actually stopped that from happening, because I do believe Charlotte likes these now. And maybe I've dreamt that, but they're not for me. The shade range itself is enough to put me off these, only because I can't find one that completely and utterly suits my complexion, whereas it will be a little bit easier for Charlotte because she has the most beautiful toned skin. Gorgeous. She has the skin tone that I want. I'm not bitter. But I can't get these to work for me anyway, so maybe I need to try harder. Let me know if this has happened to you as well, and whether you regret your purchase if you've tried these already. I will not be buying any more of these. I much prefer the Chanel, I can't remember what they're called. They're a double-ended Chanel Tenue. Double-ended, there's a liquid lip and then there's like a lip gloss that you put over the top, and I swear by those. They are the best liquid lip that don't make my lips go sticky ever, ever. I was just hoping that these would rival them, and they didn't. You all know that I love a good blush. I often overkill my blush and look like Aunt Sally because I love blush so much I just cannot help myself. Very little times have I really not liked a blush. Today is the day that I'm going to share my horrific blush experience with you. Again, so excited when these landed in my local Superdrug. I think they landed around about the same time as the Mousse eyeshadows. These are from Revolution and they are the Mousse blush. There are numerous reasons why these are problematic. So we're going to start with the texture of these. Let me show you the texture that's inside mine at the moment. So this is actually quite creamy. It looks quite it doesn't really look moussey at all. It's more of a creamy consistency, and it doesn't look matte in the tub. And I was excited because stunning color as well. This is the shade Grapefruit Coral. And then I also picked up the shade Blossom Rose Pink, which equally as beautiful. I mean, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. The problem with these are they dry out very quickly. I've actually been and bought a couple more to show you because the ones I bought before in exactly the same shades, both of them dried out on me so quickly. You couldn't do anything with them. You couldn't blend them. They stuck to the skin and did not move. Even these, in the state that they are in at the moment, that lovely creamy consistency, they dry down to such a flat, matte finish that they are so unflattering on my skin. There are ones that I would recommend other than these, however, let me grab them out. So similar to the Revolution Mousse blushes, these are also affordable and I think they are way better. So we've got the Revolution Super Dewy. Obviously it's not going to give you the same finish, but then you've got the NYX Sweet Cheeks, which gives you more of a natural matte finish. So if you're wanting natural matte, then the NYX Sweet Cheeks, and they've got a really nice range of shades to choose from. If you're wanting something slightly glowier, a bit dewier on the cheek to emphasize any roundness and bounciness, then the Super Dewy from Revolution is just lovely, and for me far better than these, which were just massive fails, massive. But if it doesn't rains, it pours. There are two blushes that I've tried in the last few months that I have just thought were horrific on my skin. This is the next one. Can I get it open? Oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? There we go. This is from Lottie London and it's the pH Cream Colour Changing Blush. Now, usually I don't go for gimmicky products like this, but I've heard a lot of people rave about it. So I thought, you know what? It's affordable. I'm not wasting a lot even if I don't like it, but I really regret buying this because it is so not for me. It's black in the tub, but it changes depending on the pH of your skin. Now, there is very limited range in the pH of everybody's skin, so quite frankly, I would have thought it's going to go the same shade on absolutely everybody, which is like a purpley pink shade, very vibrant. It is not for me at all. So it's not what a lot of people think it is, that this is going to turn the shade of your actual cheek color, or this is going to turn the perfect shade for every individual. No, no. No, it's not. No, it's going to turn practically the same shade on everybody, which is bruise coloured. I honestly look like I've been punched in the face when I've got this on. I am so pleased for everybody who loves this. I'm not knocking the product at all because there's always going to be somebody that loves it, but that person is not me. It does blend out really nicely. It's a nice creamy consistency, but I find it quite sticky. You can see what color it's turning on my finger, but I've got to say, when I add this directly to the cheek, it doesn't turn that shade immediately, maybe because I'm applying it on top of makeup and not on top of bare skin, but it takes a lot longer to turn and it goes a little patchy in places. Some of it still looks a little black. Some of it looks very, very vibrant pinky purple. Other bits just look purple. And the whole amalgamation of the pinky purple, the purple and the black. Classic bruise vibes. If you're also trying to get this off at the end of the day, I mean, I've just wiped my finger. It's not happening. My finger is still dyed and will be until the end of the day today. When I get an oil cleanser and try and wash this off, it stains really badly. So good luck if you don't like it, like me. Takes a little bit to get it off. Moving on to an incredibly expensive product that again, is so temperamental. I cannot reach for this on days where I know I need to look perfect all day, because I just don't know what mood it's going to be in and whether it's going to flip out on me and turn all crusty and cakey and nasty and just look... ugh. Anyway, this is from Gucci, and once again, very, very disappointed that I have this in my collection, although they have just brought out, I believe, a new concealer, which I am going to buy. However, if it's as temperamental as this, it will be going in the naughty bin where this now lives, because this can look stunning. It is very high coverage, so you have to be very careful on application. However, even with being careful upon application and not applying too much around the nose area, around the chin area, any dryness, still sometimes that is not good enough. This can make me look oily on some days. This can make me look dry on other days. I can wear exactly the same skincare under it. I can wear no skincare under it. I still get temperamental results. This is just not a straightforward foundation. And some days I can put it on and it looks so beautiful and airbrushed, and I think, wow. And 3 hours later, I look in the mirror and do not recognize myself. I don't recognize the foundation on my face. I just think, is that the same foundation that I applied 3 hours ago? Because it looks nothing like. And it can go all cakey and congealed around the nose area, which very few foundations do for me because I don't have overly oily skin. This one just can't make its mind up what it wants to do. Other days, it looks hideous on application and I have to take it off and start all over again, because if you have super dry skin, this clings to every single dry patch and just accentuates any dryness, accentuates any texture, and yet on other days, it airbrushes my texture. It's like somebody said, never work with animals or children, never work with this foundation, because you just never know what it's gonna do. If you're wanting an alternative that is really high coverage but doesn't go cakey and nasty throughout the day, highly recommend the Haus Labs foundation. It is just glorious. Now again, just like the Gucci foundation, you do have to be quite careful how you apply it. Don't apply too much because it is such good coverage. You don't need to apply a lot, so apply in very thin layers and only apply extra where you need it. Otherwise, it will go slightly cakey around those difficult areas. I also find that the Haus Labs foundation doesn't go crusty over my drier areas, which this one does, and it is way more dependable than this one, which is just too temperamental for me. On the opposite end of the spectrum to really high coverage foundations, let's talk about a skin tint. This one is from Bobbi Brown and it's the Vitamin Enriched Skin Tint. Okay, so I was really hoping that I was going to like this because I always like getting a skin tint or a nice lightweight, light coverage foundation, but it's so little coverage. It's not worth my time and effort, if that makes sense. I just don't see the point in this. And I've not even passed this on to my mum because I know she'd be like, well, what's the point in even putting it on? It's not going to do anything. The other bugbear that I have with this is that there's an SPF of 15 in here, which it's a skin tint. SPF 15, by the time you've put the amount that you're going to put on your skin on, that SPF's probably 1. What is the point in having an SPF that is neither here nor there? This is not even a nice top up for your regular SPF. It's just not worth having within the product and then creating any sort of flashback that the SPF may give. There are more negatives to having an SPF in this type of product than there are positives as far as I'm concerned. So I'm getting on my high horse now, but it's one of my main bugbears. I don't know why they've done it, but they have. And you can't put the right amount of this skin tint on to actually get the SPF 15. And even if you do get SPF 15, you're going to want to have something else underneath it because SPF 15 is not enough. So I would understand it a little bit more if this had SPF 50 in here or even SPF 45. That would be a nice topper for your normal SPF. But SPF 15, come on. On an end note for this product, it is very nice. It's a serum-like consistency, so it's very loose. But because of that, sort of disappears into nothingness, and it's very dewy and doesn't last very long on me. Now, I haven't been very well, so maybe that is another factor why that is the case. So if you completely disagree with me, if this is one of your favorites, your ride or die skin tints, do let me know and I'll try it out again. This also has a fragrance, and it's quite a punchy fragrance. It's the same fragrance as the vitamin enriched face base, which I really, really like, but I needed to make you aware if you were thinking about buying this and you don't like that fragrance or you're sensitive to fragrance, this is not going to be for you. This just isn't as versatile as I would like my skin tints to be, but it definitely hasn't oversold itself to me. This is a skin tint. It's done what it said it was going to do, so I'm not mad at the product. I just think there are better ones out there. If you are wanting a couple of alternatives for the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Skin Tint, I mean, there are so many that I absolutely love. So let's just go through a couple of high-end, which are similar to the price of the Bobbi Brown, and then a couple of drugstore versions as well. So absolutely adore the new Skin by YSL. I just think it's glorious, and it lasts a considerable amount of time for a tint. I just think it's stunning. Then we've got the MAC Studio Face and Body. It's a nice radiant skin tint that is so super versatile. You can build this up so you can have it to a medium coverage, but you can also have it sheer coverage as well, and I just think it's just adorable. If you're wanting something more on the affordable side, the NYX Bear With Me Blur Skin Tint is lovely. It gives more of a natural matte finish and lasts a considerable amount of time for me as well, again, for a skin tint foundation. And then I just love this. I just think it is so, so beautiful. This is from Rimmel and it's the Kind and Free Skin Tint. Gorgeous, gorgeous product. It really is. This is more of a natural dewy glow. It doesn't last masses of time, but it lasts longer than the Bobbi Brown, so just saying. So they are my 10 products that I seriously regret buying, obviously for differing reasons. Not all the products that are featured in this video are bad, in my opinion. I just think some of them just aren't for me. Others, the less we talk about them, the better. We'll just roll on through. I could probably have put a couple more products in this video, but we'll leave those for another time. I don't think my brain and my heart could take any more today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to give it a like. Also, hit that subscribe button to come and join the Pampered Wolf Pack and not miss any future videos like these by clicking on the notification bell. Let me know your experiences with these products, and also give me a pointer on which products you have been thinking are the worst products at the moment. Which ones should I be avoiding? That would be really, really good to know. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope to see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.